In the sprawling, restless rhythm of Dallas, the first year of a police chief's tenure feels less like an appointment and more like stepping onto a stage already set in motion. For Chief Daniel Comeaux, every siren in the distance and every headline at dawn carries the weight of expectations, scrutiny, and consequence. This is the year where reputation is forged in real time, where split-second decisions ripple across neighborhoods, and quiet moments behind a desk shape policies that will outlast any single crisis. Yet no chief stands alone in this crucible. Comeaux must also make one of the most defining choices of his leadership, selecting the right commanders to stand beside him. These are the voices in the room where pressure mounts, the leaders who translate vision into action, and the ones who either steady the department or fracture it from within. Choosing wisely means building a command staff grounded in integrity, competence, and shared purpose, ensuring that every decision is reinforced by strength at every level. As a first-year chief, Comeaux must navigate the fragile balance between authority and empathy, reform and tradition, command and connection. The 4 stars on his collar represent more than a rank. It symbolizes accountability to a city watching closely, waiting to see whether its new leader can bring order without losing their humanity. In this crucible of pressure and possibility, the foundation of his legacy is not just built. It is tested, it is challenged, and it is defined. We are pleased to welcome on Dallas Police Chief Comeaux back to the ATO stage for our latest Geaux Time.
But it's all those other people who really, really want us and show us the love. And you got to think about those. And it just makes the job so much fun to do because you know you're making a difference. And that has driven me to be the very best. So my goal is for us to be the best police department in the United States. Let's give everybody the recognition who's actually done the work. I'm not out there doing the work. I'm just giving you the ability to do the work. I want to highlight who's actually doing the work. Everything's about a sport. We want to win the championship. Leadership's an active sport. How do you win a championship? It's by teamwork. I'm looking forward, and I think we're going to make Dallas PD even better than what it was. You know, my thing is, hey, let's put out the facts. Dallas is kicking butt. We're keeping everybody safe here in Dallas.
Chief Comeaux, welcome back.
Oh, as always, happy to be here.
So this episode, Geaux Time, we want to kind of recap year 1 as chief. You're the 31st chief of Dallas Police Department, and I'm proud to say that I've worked for 7 of you guys.
Hey, I'm coming up to my first year. Man.
What is it in dog years, though?
It's about 5 years in dog years,
Yeah.
but man, it's going really, really fast.
I got to ask, are you still having fun?
I really am. Truly enjoying myself every single day.
So I want to ask you, like, you have an idea of what DPD is and also what being a major city chief is like, but what are some of the biggest surprises you've seen since you've been here?
Wow. Biggest surprises. First of all, the one of the things is when it comes down to promotion, having to pick the right person, understanding how to pick the right person and what goes into picking the right person. It's actually been pretty exciting trying to make sure I pick the right person because there's always pressure coming from the right, coming from the left, coming from the center when it's time for promotion. You'll have when an opening comes, all of a sudden you see some people more than you ever seen them before, and you have to try to figure out what's true work and what's show, and that's been pretty tough because the great thing is I get to promote over 40 people to a command staff. The hard thing is making sure you promote the right person to the command staff.
Well, how do you go about that? Because you know, you're coming in from the outside. You don't know it. You really don't know anybody here, you know, and you're kind of, like you said, some people at certain times start popping up.
Yeah, so I put a process in place, and part of the process was it's like a 2-page write-up, and you get to brag on yourself, talk about what you've done through your career for the department, especially in leadership. So I have that, and then I also talk to the command staff. I talk to the 3 stars, the 2 stars, and depending on the position, maybe the 1-stars. But what I definitely do is I take information. I take information in from everywhere that I go, and that could be the patrol officer. And as I'm sure you know, officers love to talk.
Oh yeah, they all have something to say.
Yeah, and when they get the opportunity, they also do compliment some folks. And when I get those compliments, I'll jot the name down. So when it comes down time for promotion, I get these write-ups. I talk to the command staff. I also talk to the associations, and I ask the associations, let's not talk about your members. Tell me who you think is really good. And I take all that information, and I kind of have a grid, and I start seeing what names are consistently popping up. And then I narrow it down, and I have an interviewing process. And I bring them in for 15 minutes and just want to get a feel for them. And I start narrowing it down to make my decision.
Where did you get that style from? Did you have that before you got here?
I picked up a little bit from where I came and then a little bit of talking to business owners and CEOs and just kind of meshed that together and made it mine.
What are some of the biggest challenges you've seen?
Look, law enforcement is law enforcement. It's leadership. You want to empower, you want to motivate and inspire, and those are my 3 words that I always talk about. So we want to do that, but at the end of the day, look, we want to put bad people in jail. So all I want to do is focus on how to put bad people in jail and do it safely. So I don't think there's been a ton of challenges where I'm looking at it saying, holy crap, what are we going to do here? No, let's bring it in. Let's talk about it. Let's make it happen.
Well, on that, in the past year since you've been here, what is one of the most difficult things you've had to do? Other than this, maybe was it the selection process to promote?
It is. That's the most difficult thing. It's trying to make sure I get the right people in place to lead this department the right way. And you never want to terminate anyone. But oftentimes, everyone, when it comes down to termination, they've done something to get terminated. It's unfortunate, and I have a heart. There is some empathy with me, even though my wife says I have none. There's some in there. But most of those folks have done things to get terminated. But I'm telling you, the hardest thing is making sure I pick the right people to lead this department.
Yeah, that is so crucial because you promoted a wave. And that's the most promotions and movement I've seen since I've been here.
Yeah, and look, it was fun. It was tough. It was hard. But it was also fun because you're putting people in place to lead the department for the future. And what made me really happy was, when you're walking around and you're told, hey, man, that was some good promotions. That was some good promotions. And it's coming from some officers and sergeants who really doesn't have any skin in the game. And when you hear them say, hey, that's a solid person, it's like, all right, I got that one right.
Yeah. Well, you're not always going to get it right because, like you said, there's a lot of peacocks that walk around when it's time for promotions and movement like this. But getting the right people around you to support you, because it's like a president. You got to have the right cabinet. You got to have the right people there to pull you to the side and tell you when your S stinks, right?
Look, that's so important, having the right people. And what everyone has to understand, you tell me it's the right person today, but then tomorrow you're like, oh, they're not the right person because it wasn't a decision that was made that you didn't like. If you told me it was the right person, it's probably the right person. But they're always not going to make the decision that you want them to make.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I want to highlight some of the, just year one, Operation Justice Trail.
Really exciting. So this is one of the things that I really want to see the police department do. We already had a fugitive unit when I got here. But I, with all my heart, believe if we get those off the street that are committing crime after crime after crime, especially those that have felony warrants, we're going to see a reduction in overall crime. So I wanted to really ramp up that unit. I wanted to partner with the U.S. Marshals, and they have been phenomenal working with us every single day. And the arrests we have made and the violent offenders that we've taken off the street in the last year is amazing. Right now, we're over 330-something arrests total, just on our fugitive program from these various operations targeting violent offenders. And I think we're definitely seeing a result in that in the crime reduction.
These marshal contacts that go back to your DEA days. I mean, you probably walked in the door at DPD with more connections from outside and federal entities than any other chief.
Well, one of the things that I understand from the federal side of the house is that we need the local police to survive on the federal side. So knowing that, being with DPD, I went to the federal partners and I said, hey, we're here to work with you. And it was music to their ears because it also makes them look better. But then we can use all their technology they have and the resources they have to take care of our city. And along with the going to jail part. And right now we have a U.S. attorney that's here in the Northern District of Dallas that is lighting it on fire. So there's individuals that normally we would arrest. You take them to the jail, they'll be out committing more crimes. When they're going to jail right now, some of these cases on the federal side, they're not coming back.
Good. Who's this attorney? Can you say?
He's the U.S. attorney right now, Ryan, here in the Northern District of the United States for Dallas area. He's doing a great job.
Shout out, Ryan. There's so many different operations. I'm looking at here on the list: Operation Safe Streets, Operation Clean Sweep. The one targeted human trafficking, Operation Safe Streets. I mean, how important is that?
That really resulted in some really good arrests. And along with that, we have successfully closed down the Harry Hines in and out prostitution ring, and that was part of that operation. It ran under that operation, which from day one, me getting here, prostitutes on Harry Hines has definitely been a problem. And it's especially the women that are being made to be prostitutes. Like they have to work the streets because there's somebody behind the curtain making them work the streets. So it's important for us to investigate those as human trafficking cases so we can take care of that problem here in Dallas.
Yeah, Harry Hines has been a long entrenched problem with prostitution.
And, you know, when it comes to human trafficking, a lot of people don't make the connection sometimes. But here in 2026, most of the human trafficking is drug cartels that's behind the scene working that. It's just another angle for them to make money.
Tell us about the HOT mission.
Look, HOT's important to Dallas. We needed something to really work with the homeless. And right now, those officers are doing an amazing job. It was volunteer. It wasn't voluntold. They got extra training. And we're taking all the information in from various areas, and we're doing these operations. And we're working it with nonprofit organizations. We're working it with the marshals. We're working with OEM as a unit. And we're really cleaning up some areas out there. And look, the unhoused population right now, they've been committing some violent crimes out there. We just had one this weekend where an unhoused murdered another unhoused over a sleeping area. So those are things that we have to focus on. We have to address them in the area, and part of it is a police problem.
Well, having a centralized unit to tackle that problem is so important just for the community, too, because we have so many stakeholders that have businesses that they're having to call 911 every day to solve the problems.
Yeah, and it's a unit like that. And with this unit, they're also getting the extra training so they can understand what they're doing, how to go about doing it, and working with the nonprofits. Look, it's such an important unit. Breaking news, there's a second unit that's coming right now. So we're going to add another HOT team to the Dallas Police Department.
Nice. We have any more breaking news about time frame on that?
It's right around the corner.
Okay.
It's right around the corner.
We've had several academy classes graduate, and I think we have like 5 ongoing right now. So recruiting is still a big push for the city.
Yeah, we have 5 going now. We have one that's starting next week. And again, the recruiting team's doing an amazing job. They're laser focused on what they need to do. And this class, it's going to start with over 50 again.
Nice. Yeah, we go out and speak to them. The wellness unit goes out and speaks to every class multiple times in their little 10-month. And they're getting bigger and bigger. I mean, they got some classes in there that there's barely any standing room in the front.
Yeah,
just talk to them.
Look, I think the summer class is gonna really be big. The way that the recruiting unit is going at it, I'm excited to see what the numbers are going to be for the summer class.
you have a new investigative warrant unit it's out there. It's being put together right now. It's about ready to roll out. Can you talk about it?
So, look, one of the things about doing search warrants is you want to be properly trained. I just know as you get older on the job, sometimes you get more experience and then sometimes your skills diminish also. And if you're not kicking down doors every single day, I don't think it's fair to have a squad where you're saying, hey, you need to go after the worst of the worst. You need to go after the guy that's very possibly going to have a gun behind the door. But you don't do this every day. You're more of an investigator, but we still want you to kick that door down. So this is a team that, no, they're going to train, they're going to practice, they're going to be in good shape to go kick down that door. And we're going to send them in there because that's what they want to do. They want to go after the bad guy, the worst of the worst, behind that door. And I think it's the safest thing to do for the department.
It is a perishable skill. I mean, one of my time in the streets, I had injuries, right? When you even laying off just a short amount of time, your mind doesn't process things as fast. Your movements, and Danny, you know this, and being out in SWAT, that if you're not doing it every day, if you're not training and you're not stressing your mind and pushing the limits in your mind, it could cause somebody to get injured.
Yeah, look, I've run so many warrants in my day because I've been in narcotics for 33 years. So, and I can still shoot 100. Now, let's talk about me still shooting 100. I can't shoot 100 as fast as I used to be able to shoot 100. Now, this 100 is a little slow motion. It takes a little bit longer for me to get on site and pull that trigger. I know it. I might still hit the target, but hey, rounds could be coming at me before I squeeze the trigger now, where 15, 20 years ago, I would have squeezed the trigger the same time someone else was squeezing the trigger. It's not happening anymore.
Yeah, it ain't like riding a bike. You just don't pick it back up and start riding.
No. Look, I'm sure there's some officers out there that's my age and they can probably shoot the same way they did at 21. I'm not one. I can still score good, but it's much, much slower.
My eyesight sucks so bad right now, I can't even. Yeah.
So, if it's so much slower for me, I'm sure there's others like me also, just, where it's slower. And
of course,
hey, let's get the officers who are in fit, tip-top shooting skills that's doing it on a regular basis to protect the units.
We talked about offline about pop culture, which is important. Whenever you think of DPD, what song pops in your head?
I'm going to get you one way or another. Look, I don't know who sings it, but hey, if you're doing something bad, we coming to get you. We're going to get you one way or another.
We got enough operations to go after them, which is good. What movie pops in your head when you think about DPD?
So it wouldn't be a movie. It'd be the series. Like, everybody thinks of DPD SWAT. It does. Like, that's the first thing. You think movie, nah, we got to go to the episodes.
Shout out Steve Claggett. Him and Dre front and center on the poster.
I think maybe Dre's doing this intentionally because that one picture that went viral with him with the cowboy hat, that's all over the place.
It's a good looking picture. I saw it in your recruiting video.
Yeah,
your pictures,
and it wasn't staged. So it was
him walking by the 35 South sign. It's nice.
With it raining,
dude.
Wearing the cowboy hat.
But you know what? I don't know. Maybe it was staged, and he just didn't tell us it was staged. I don't know.
No.
That was like
I think he just walks through every environment that way.
He's a guy that walks in between the raindrops. So, he's just smooth. Hey, it's Dre. Dre's being Dre, but that is an amazing photo. I posted that thing, and I got so many likes and shares on that.
No,
it's a good-looking photo.
It was a pretty cool photo.
No, it's very good. Yeah, he can wear a cowboy hat, too. Yeah. We talked about surrounding yourself with good leaders already. And I do want to keep stressing the importance of that, of getting leaders around you that could lead units that everybody's here to make you and this administration look good and do what's best for the department. I want to hit on that again, picking the right leaders moving forward for your administration and for the department. Because you're going to be here a while, hopefully.
I plan on it. Look, I'll keep saying leadership is the most important thing. And I'm all about empowerment. And when it comes to empowerment, what I believe in, and I use the term, I'm micro-engaged. I know what's going on, but I'm not going to be in your business. And there's certain things that I'm not going to even touch because I shouldn't touch as a chief. but I'm micro engaged. I listen. And as I came on the first time, I look, listen, and learn. I'm still looking, listening, and learning. And I'm going to continue to do that. And that's also going to help me pick the right leaders to put around me to make sure this department keeps ascending.
No, it's crucial. It's so crucial even in singular units, having the right people in charge that affect that entire unit. And you're looking at it from you're up on the higher building here looking down, and you have to have people supporting that building.
But that's why I got to pick the right leaders,
right?
Because I'm not going to pick the lieutenant who's going to a certain group. That's not going to reach my desk, nor should it reach my desk. So I have to make sure I have the right 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 stars in place to make sure the right lieutenant gets in there. And that's where empowerment comes in. You have to trust them, but they also have to demonstrate that they're doing what's right.
I got to ask you this about that. So your style, you're coming in, it's only been a year. How long did it take others to buy in? This is what he really wants, and this is who he really is.
Good question.
Yeah. Look, everyone bought in at a different time, and I'm not going to call out names, but I think some people were looking behind the curtain saying, hey, is he serious? Like, can I really make this decision? Because some of the things that was hitting my desk should have never hit my desk. But I understand everybody has a different leadership style. Every chief has a different leadership style. And I would never, ever criticize another chief, especially because this department is flying high. It's doing really well. But my leadership style is a little bit different. I need to empower my chiefs to make decisions. And that's what I believe in. But some of the chiefs definitely didn't believe I wanted them to make some of these decisions. And okay, I'll tell just a little bitty story.
Peek behind nobody listens to us anyway.
Yeah, and it's just kind of funny. I had to get on one chief, but for waking me up at 5 a.m. to tell me, and look, I'm gonna catch myself. She called me at 5 a.m. in the morning to tell me that they were gonna take off work. Well, I was goddamn mad because you woke me up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I never get to sleep later than 5 a.m. in the morning. Why the heck you woke me up to tell me you're taking off at 5 a.m. in the morning? And they said, well, we had to do that with other chiefs.
I'll go ahead and say it. It was Terrence, wasn't it? No, I'm just joking. I've known him forever.
So one thing that everyone is learning about me, I always say my CS, which stands for confidential source. A good narcotics investigator never gives up his confidential sources.
And he blames them for everything all the time, too. Puts it on them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's confidential.
It is.
We hit it on it earlier about the importance of keeping the associations. You got to work with them. You know, they represent, and here in Dallas we have like 20 of them. I'm just kidding. We have a handful of associations that you have to, meet with regularly to deal with issues from assignments, promotions, et cetera, et cetera. What are your thoughts on working with them and what you've seen here in the short time in Dallas?
So when it comes to associations, what I really want the associations to do from a chief's perspective is help me make the department better. Come to me with suggestions and ideas and situations that will make the department better. But one of the things that I have told all the associations, do me a favor. If it's going to help one officer but make 9 officers mad, don't bring it to me. Like, vet that out first. Because, and sometimes I'll hear, well, that one's a member. But okay, if I make a decision for one and I'm going to make 9 mad, now I got 90% of my police department mad and I got 10% happy. So why bring that? And I think some of the information needs to be vetted by the associations before it comes to the 6th floor.
Yeah, and then also, and I hate to say this, you got to consider the source of. I mean, because there are some people that, I'm sorry, love them or hate them, but some people you're never going to make happy.
No, there's definitely some, because I get to see some screenshots of some people really, who dislike me.
Yeah, they're out there, but the thing is that they don't really like anybody or like any decision.
Well, look, if you've been around long enough, first of all, you're not going to make everyone happy. And normally a true worker doesn't complain about much. Even if they're throwing a curveball, they figure out how to still get their job done and do their job. Someone who wants to complain finds any and everything to complain. And then the next thing, you have the other one who's just happy and nice and friendly. Well, I like those people to be my neighbors, not necessarily my coworkers.
Yeah, they make lemonade a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know, you have done really something unique here in a short amount of time with all the community engagement you have from so many stakeholders that want to support the department. I mean, you got people coming out of the woodwork that want to give to the Dallas Police Department, to give, horses. We're having these appreciation lunches, and why is that so important to you?
Well, it's not what I've done, really. It's what DPD has done for the city of Dallas. I'm just a chief that's allowing them to show their appreciation. Because some of these folks been wanting to do it. They just didn't know how to do it. So I'm opening up the door to give them an avenue to show their appreciation based off of what Dallas PD has done and has done for many years. It hasn't just been done in 1 year. That doesn't happen in 1 year. This has been going on for many years. And so a lot of these businesses want to show their appreciation, and they just want to know how to go about doing it. So we're opening up the door so they can show their appreciation. And I really feel that officers are seeing the difference. They're enjoying the free lunches. But, you mentioned mounted. We were short 8 horses. Within 24 hours, we had donations or pledges from 8 people to buy those horses. And me being a chief of police and not putting 1 + 1 together to equal 2, when we got 8 new horses, I forgot we needed 8 new saddles for those horses. So I went back to the well. I made 1 phone call, and within 24 hours, we had 8 saddles purchased. And that's pretty impressive. And that's from Dallas. That's from the city of Dallas.
Yeah, it's the people that they're stakeholders. They live here. Some of these people have here, their last names have been here forever. Generations of people that want to support the department, and I'm glad that they're coming out now. I was out there just last week at the mounted unit looking at the new horses, and they're getting them prepped. And I mean, even QT is wanting to get in on action on helping out the mounted unit.
Yeah, it's really excited what's going on. We have a big luncheon April 23rd, and the bank account's going to be open up for donations starting April 23rd. And I'm really excited about what we're looking forward to from the donations from people in Dallas, and it's going to help officers. Like, one of the things that I'm going to do pretty quick is this parking lot that's needed in Northeast. We're going to get that parking lot fixed because every Northeast officer tells me how much water they have to walk through when it rains. But this is going to come from donations that we're going to be able to get a parking lot fixed for the officers that has been needed for years.
Yeah, that's something so simple that you wouldn't think about it. A police department needing.
Yeah, and what's cool, I was talking to the foundation about it, and they were like, well, you know what, Chief? We're not going to have to just spend a lot of money on that because there's several concrete companies that's going to be happy to do that. They just didn't know you needed that. And I was like, oh, wow. It's amazing.
And you had the kayak company reaching out saying, we'll just sell you a bunch of kayaks so they can get to the office.
We're going to leave the kayaks alone.
Yeah. Put a big DPD badge on it. It'll look cool. So speaking of the DPD badge, the Dallas brand, it really is, I mean, we've talked offline, the Dallas Police Department in the state of Texas is looked at as the premier department in the country, right? It is like the Nike Air Jordans of law enforcement.
Yeah, it works for me because I wear Jordans all the time.
Yeah, I know. I've seen you in them in the tux and Jordans.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm representing the department because we are the Jordans of the department, of all departments.
Why is that important to our brand? Why is that important to you? Other than you being in charge of us, but why is that important?
Look, and some people that are listening might say, oh, he's just saying that because he's the chief of Dallas. No, we have the proof, and the proof is our recruiting. Right now, many, many police departments are having problems recruiting throughout the United States. Our recruiting is going up right now. It's going up because we are the Jordans of police departments.
I'm going to shift gears on you. We've had so many people that have inspired us through our life, right? And at stages of life. I could say that I've had people when I was growing up, whether it's coaches, parents, step-parents, moving on to college era to professional. We all have people that have inspired us, motivated us, kind of shaped who we are, and maybe in some ways still shape who we are as a person, as a leader, as a father, as a husband, right? I kind of want to get into some of the people, give a peek behind your curtain of who inspired you. And go back to youth.
All right. So if I go back to youth, let's go back to high school.
Okay.
Because that was the first one. Coach Skeeter Thayard.
Skeeter.
My baseball coach. And, first of all, he taught me a lot about baseball. That's where I really started growing as a baseball player. But I remember one day I said something, and I can't remember what I said. I was always a little smart aleck saying dumb stuff, right? And he looked at me, and I went to Catholic high school. He said, his exact words was, "Your horse's ass, get on your knees." So I had to kneel down. And as I'm kneeling down, he looked at me and he said, sometimes if you keep your mouth shut, people won't know how ignorant you are. As I was kneeling down. And he said, if you say something else, you're going to kneel on rice. So I didn't say anything else. And I thought about it. I have never forgot that statement. So oftentimes, to this day, when I'm in meetings and I'm about to say something, especially if it's a topic that I don't know, I just keep my mouth shut. And to me, I was probably, 16 years old when I heard that for the first time. That has stuck to me. Now I'm 56. That has stuck to me. Keep your mouth shut in certain situations. You have to know when to talk. And I will never, ever forget that. And I pass it along all the time.
I like that. I have my own confidential informants myself. So as a youth, I know your mother was huge influence, and also Aaron. Can you talk about them?
Of course. So don't know my biological dad. He was abusive. Don't know him. Clearly he didn't care about knowing me because I couldn't even tell you what he looks like, right? But I was raised by my dad, who that's all I know is my dad, right? And I was raised by him. And shout out to him. Without him, I'm dead or in jail. There's no doubt. And he beat my ass so much, it's ridiculous growing up. But I deserved pretty much all of them. And the ones that I didn't deserve on that day, it was probably for something I did where he didn't catch me on it anyway. So shout out to him for doing that. And he still has the black belt that he used to spank me with hanging in the garage in Lafayette. Well, in Tucson, Louisiana right now, it's still hanging up in the garage. Without that, I'm not where I'm at now. Without him, I'm dead or in jail. Without him having the foresight to put me in baseball, I'm not where I'm at right now. Baseball started diversifying me at a young age to understand the difference, especially in cultures. Because where I came from, many brothers didn't play baseball. And he had that foresight to put me in there. So without my dad, I'm definitely not here. He's definitely reared me in a lot of ways. And what's so interesting, he's very different than me. He's way more quieter than I am, but very conservative in his ways. All right, he's cheap.
Frugal.
Sometimes I have a hard time pronouncing that word. So, but amazing man. And without him, I'm nowhere near as successful as I have been.
You're not Chief Comeaux.
No, without a doubt, I'm not. I totally believe I would be dead or in jail because everyone else in the neighborhoods I grew up from, if they didn't play sports, they're dead or in jail.
Benny Calloway. Can you tell us about that person?
He gave me a good opportunity after I came out of high school. I got hurt, and he still gave me a full ride scholarship to go to St. Louis. And he basically said, we're going to let you shine. We're giving you this opportunity. Need you to rebound and do what you do. And I picked up the nickname Showtime, which is pretty much stuck with me for the rest of my life. And without him giving me that opportunity, not quite sure how long my career would have gone. And I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at now, right? Because the only reason I went to college was to play baseball. I didn't go to college to get an education. I went to play baseball. And so Benny Callaway was my junior college coach, which got me an associate's degree. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have that, which then led me to go play at Southwest Texas State after that.
Isn't it funny how life happens and how so many people you run across, and at the time you don't really notice that stone that they gave you to step on.
He helped lay the foundation for me to walk over, and I still talk to him to this day. I still keep in touch with him, Coach Callaway, and he'll just say, "Showtime."
Well, I really am. Kent understands about sports, and he's got some amazing boys playing sports, and Danny even been in lacrosse. I think
lacrosse.
Sports, yeah,
Lacrosse.
Yeah, my son's in lacrosse.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's pretty damn good too.
We didn't have a lacrosse team where I came from.
Well, being in competition though, it really shapes a person, and a lot of really good athletes can motivate themselves because the competitive edge they want.
So, look, we all have biases, and one of the biases that I have to fight, sitting in the chair of chief of police, is dealing with athletes, because I see so much in the athletic world that translates to the police world, from dedication, teamwork. It all crisscrosses with law enforcement. So I have to control that bias when I'm sitting in the chief chair to make sure I'm not asking a question. Hey, were you a former athlete? Did you play in high school? Did you have to wake up at 6 a.m? Did you have to work extra hours to get your grades together and still be able to compete on the field? Hey, were you a captain? Were you leading that team? I can go on and on. I can talk for 15, 20 minutes just about how the two connect, from law enforcement to sports. And that's why one of our things, and jumping off just a little bit, one of our recruiting tools that we're using right now, and we're working with SMU right now on Life After Ball. And we're working with SMU for a lot of their athletes, from their cheerleading department to the women's sports to the men's sports, that if you're not going to finish school, we can fast track you at DPD. We can bring you over here because it's the same concept. You being in that team environment, same concept as being an officer. Because when you get to that station, and it's even under department, right? Northeast can talk about Southeast, and Southeast can talk about South Central, and it's all fun and games. We can talk about different stations, but you're not going to talk about my group, and then it gets even bigger. Hey, we can talk about each other as DPD, but we're not going to let another department talk about us. It's the same thing as sports.
I don't make it a habit of correcting chiefs, but we don't let Northeast talk about Southeast around here.
Well, look, Southeast gets on my nerves. I'm just going to say that, right? Southeast gets on my nerves. Southeast officers get on my nerves.
Wow.
You're an outsider.
Yeah,
We get it.
Yeah. I think you sent me a text the other day. Somebody was sounding. I still don't know who, saying something.
Yeah, well, Southeast gets on my nerves, boy. I tell you, they look. Southeast wants to let everybody know that's God country out there. That's how you become the real police. You got to walk through Southeast.
Damn right. Ivan Dennis.
Oh, Papa.
Can you tell us about him? I've recently, having access to the archives, we've found so many amazing photos of he and his wife. And every time I post them, so many people have so many good things to say about him. Can you talk about your connection?
Yeah, so what's kind of cool is people didn't know this, but Ivan was one of my mentors. I met Ivan when I was probably 23, 24 years old, and we were playing softball together. And Ivan was one of the best softball players in the United States. And we were on the same team, and he pulled me aside and he started helping me with my softball game. He was like, "Hey, man, you're pretty good, but if you do this, this, and this, you'll be even better." Listen to him, and I think I became pretty good at the game. I think I was pretty much known in the softball world I played for Easton for a few years. I played for TPS, one of their flagship teams, one of Easton's flagship teams. And a lot of it came from a few adjustments that Ivan Dennis showed me as a young officer. And then obviously during those times also, we were talking about law enforcement. We're talking about police work. So Pawpaw became one of my favorite, as I affectionately called him Pawpaw, because he was much older than me. But talk about a man that can hit a ball. Like he can hit a softball. And then I'll throw out another officer from Dallas that I was close to, played softball with, was Brian Thomas. And he's passed away. And matter of fact, we were together a week before he passed away. We were together. So
it's in the late 90s, correct?
Yes. It would have, I would say 96 if I had to call a year, 95, 96, somewhere in that area. Of course, we're going back a long time. But we were together the week before he passed away in Dayton, Ohio, playing softball together.
So many different people, so many different strange connections with Dallas police had an impact on you, and now you're here.
Yeah, and I wish both of them were still with us today to see me become the chief of Dallas. That would have been really cool for me.
How much would that meant?
It would have meant a lot, and especially back then, I could have now told them that, okay, Dallas PD is better than Houston PD, because back then I would say Houston PD was better than Dallas PD.
Of course.
But now I can tell them they're absolutely right. Dallas PD is the #1 police department in Texas, and we're working towards being the #1 police department in the United States.
All right, I want to wrap this up. You heard a statement recently that spoke to you about a promise. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I was at a training class, and it kind of hit home. It was called the title "The Promise," and I'm not sure who wrote it, where it came from. It's not from me, but the words kind of stuck with me. I promise that I will always have the courage to stand by you and for you. I promise that I will never allow, through action or inaction, any act that dishonors you, your family, or the badge. Will you promise that you will do the same for me?